Expert Lee Carter, always great to have you. Want to dig into what Kelly's talking about here because it's particularly pronounced in California, but it's a chicken and egg problem in my view. Raise the minimum wage, chase the high inflation, created mostly by Joe Biden, by the way. We've come a long way with inflation, even with gas prices where they are. But why I bring up California is because with gas prices, for example, the exorbitant amount of taxes in that state, that's what's crippling people and making the cost of living harder there. And then they want to raise the minimum wage to chase it and put the onus on the back of business owners. To me, all you're going to get is job loss.
And you're going to get increased prices. You're going to get more inflation because how are these people supposed to pay for this kind of wage? When you talk about, this isn't just a 50% wage increase. This is $5 over the course of his tenure. And I think he must not have gotten the memo that the whole thing that we're running on as Democrats, or they're running on as Democrats, is affordability. This is not an affordability message. This is saying let's increase wages, which might sound good to people, but at the end of the day, it's going to have negative impacts. As you talked about, there's going to be layoffs. Small business owners are going to struggle. They already are struggling to make ends meet. This isn't going to necessarily help them. But this is one more talking point, one more way that Gavin Newsom can say, you know what, I'm fighting for people like you. But you know what? Polling tells me that people aren't buying that he's fighting for people like them because he talks out of both sides of his mouth. On the one hand, he's saying we've got to, tax the billionaires and go after them, but he didn't vote for taxing the billionaires, by the way. So it doesn't seem like he's so much of the fighter that he pretends to be. I don't see much of a future for Gavin Newsom after his term ends.
Yeah, I want to get to some of that polling in a minute, but you're talking about he's not fighting fair because he's calling into question the federal minimum wage tax, which I did the digging. It only applies to 82,000 workers. Even if you expand it to those that are servers, it's maybe 1% of the federal payrolls. California alone has 3 million people that are on the minimum wage. He knows the math doesn't work here. He's focusing on the other end of the equation instead of pro-business, tax reform. How do you convince people? What does the polling show that you get them to understand the economics that Gavin Newsom's putting forth the wrong equation?
I think it's really hard to simplify economics so much that people understand it. The bottom line is the affordability message that Democrats are putting forward, so let's make things more affordability, is a really smart message. It's a lens that everything now gets filtered under. How much does gas cost? How much do my groceries cost? How much do homes cost? All of this is playing in favor to the Democrats. The Republicans' message is much more complicated. They're saying the economy is good, inflation's come down, and people are saying, but I don't feel good. So what they need to do is come up with a few policies that help people understand that they can filter through and say, this is what it's all about. Because what the bottom line is this, Democrats are saying, we believe this is the best you can do, and the government's going to decide what the best is that you can do. Republicans are saying, we believe there is unlimited opportunity and potential in the American people, and you're going to decide if we just really do that. So we really need to talk about bringing opportunity back, bringing success back, bringing the American dream back. That's where I think Republicans need to be focusing, because Democrats are really winning on this messaging more. Certainly affordability is popular. It is growing in popularity. We're seeing, and we're going to see more of that tomorrow night, I'm sure about that, when you look at Michigan, when you look at other states that are going to.
And that's how Mamdani won. He grabbed onto that word, and it resonates with people. It resonates with people who need the help. It resonates with people who are righteous about it and feel that things should be a little bit more fair. But the question is, and the Republicans agree that the word is central, but the question is, how do we get there? We go about it in different ways, and then they lose traction with their messaging on the right. But I hear you. Let's get to this, because California, Democrat Party there wants to basically put this billionaire tax in place, which will again force people to flee. Last I checked, Newsom was not for this, because unlike Mamdani, he realizes if you persecute your millionaires and billionaires, they will leave, and then you will have no revenue, and that's a problem.
I mean, we're seeing that happen in New York, and we're seeing that happen in California. The billionaire tax might be popular among voters, and it really is. When you look at right now, 70% of Americans right now feel that the system is unfair. It's very popular to say tax the billionaires, but when you look at what's going to happen to these states, like 1% of Americans pay for 47% of our taxes. Giving them more in taxes doesn't necessarily fix our problems, but it makes people feel better because they just feel like it's all so unfair. It's a resonant policy, but it's not one that's going to be effective. Republicans need to come up with some policies that resonate just as much as that does with Americans, but also is going to answer the real central problem.
Real quickly, don't you think, though, that Gavin Newsom, he said the quiet part out loud in the last month, that he'd be in favor of a federal wealth tax. Don't you think all these initiatives in these states for billionaires tax to rich is just paving the way for a national tax on wealth?
it seems to be going that way. And I mean, elections have consequences. So let's see what's going to happen in the midterms. But I am worried that's the direction things are looking, for sure.
I have to be honest and say that I think that's going to be a tough one to pass. I think it would be easier to do it state by state where some of these ideas are popular. I mean, it all depends who's in the White House next, who controls Congress, and what they can push through. But I don't know. I'm skeptical.
I don't see a clean sweep on it one. But
I am
certainly
too, but I
that's the
think
direction
they're plowing the field to plant that seed.
They're going to plant the seed, whether or not it grows.
Carter, great to see you. Thank you for coming.